Well, good morning. I should say good afternoon. I apologize. It is Sunday, April the 5th, in the middle of the pandemic, and I am doing a Lisa BN, Your Best Life with Lisa BN on Zoom out of my dining room. And I'm trying to make sure that the guests that I speak to and share information with have great information. And Beth, you know what? Your name came up as like one of the top 5 people that I should be sharing information with, and we should talk today. So Beth Zinman, I'm so excited that you're here today and we can have this conversation. We talk a lot anyway, but Cindy was like, you must have Beth on the show. And so when you and I started talking the other day, turns out we have a lot of similarities that we didn't even know about because we met through business. So welcome, Cindy. I'm sorry, welcome, Beth.
Yeah.
Cindy's on my brain. You can tell I love her to death.
But, right, but and I will answer to nearly anything, so it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Red, whatever
Right.
people want to call me, they call me these days. So, man, we were just talking about how 10 years ago we were both going through divorce, right? I was going through my second divorce. Was that your first or your second?
No, my first and only. So I got a little bit gun shy, so I think you might be braver than I am. But I really didn't trust myself was the bottom line. So I had to take a lot of time to regroup and reconnect with myself.
Oh my God, taking time to regroup and connect with yourself is so important. I always say that people call me a lot and they'll say, my brother-in-law just got divorced. What advice can you give him? And of course, my kind of a smart ass remark is, tell me by my book. No, I'm just kidding. But the best advice I can give anybody is really to take time to reset and to get to know who they really are. And it does take time, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Self-awareness was key. And I know for myself and my journey, it took a long time. It actually took years. I had some goals in mind that I thought I'd accomplish like in 5 years. That turns out I really didn't accomplish them until almost 10 years. Like it took me almost twice as long as what I had hoped. But the journey was invaluable, and people say that all the time. But truly, there's not an experience I had that I can at least look back on and say, it taught me something. Either I learned not to do something in a certain way or to do something in a certain
way. Yeah.
Or perhaps the point was to trust myself a little bit more. As it's funny, as married women, and mothers, we're often taking a backseat. Everybody else's needs are, typically in our minds, put ahead of our own. Mm-hmm. We learn to sometimes not trust our instincts when it comes to ourselves. So I do think that is definitely something that I learned that was valuable, that I really can trust myself.
Well, I don't know if I'm sure that's my kind of like I guess it's a slogan. Beth, help me out here, Emily. It's right. It says, Lisa BN, trust yourself, because I'm all about learning how to love yourself and trust yourself. And you're right, because I think it's such a scary time when you're going through a divorce, because let's face it, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh, today's the day I really want to get divorced. It's a slow process. It's a long process for some people, They're like, I'm not sure. Take 2 steps forward, take 2 steps back. You know what I mean? It's not a decision that comes to anybody easily, or, it's a real big decision. It's life altering, and it changes who you are forever. Kind of like the pandemic. Would you agree?
Say that again. I'm sorry, the mic cut out.
That's okay. I said kind of like we're going through right now, like when you go through a divorce. See, I think when you go through a divorce, at least emotionally, you're sitting there and you kind of prepare yourself. It took me personally, my first divorce, it took me probably a year to even say the words, I want to get divorced. So I think when we are going through a big change, and nobody likes the word change, so we can say reset. For some reason, somebody once said to me, Lisa, you like the word change. I said, I do. I like to change, but most people do not, right? And now we're in a pandemic where people are being forced to change. And that, I think, is an incredible amount of fear for people as well.
It's a huge, uncomfortable space for most people. I, too, am someone who actually likes change. I thrive on it. I'm a fire sign. We typically thrive on change.
Well, what sign are you?
Sagittarius.
Oh, okay, I'm an Aries, but
Well, okay, so I have my two daughters. One is an Aries, one is a Leo. So we
we
are all fire signs with
yes,
this crazy energy together.
crazy.
So I happen to thrive on change as well. But I do know, and I'm like super aware that most people do not. It's a really uncomfortable space. And I've been saying it's funny. For some reason, I've been actually getting myself together and working from home in a way more together fashion than I normally do.
I've been hearing that all over. I've been hearing that from so many people. I have a girlfriend that was texting me the other day. She's like the queen of gotta be out, gotta go and do sales. And she texted me, she's like, I am loving being at home. And a lot of people are finding they're being more productive than they ever thought they could be.
Right. Because normally I'll hear from people, oh, I can never work from home. I don't know how you do it. But the fact of the matter is I could sit down and work at any time of day whenever I'm feeling most productive. And I do think that's key actually, even just in life in general. It's very good, again, the whole listening to yourself to know, like, when are your times that you're feeling productive? Maybe you have a set time every day. Maybe you're a morning person, maybe you're an evening person. Sometimes for me, it changes. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I want to get going right away. And other times it's, my burst comes later. But I do think it's a great
point. I think that's a great point. I just want to say that again, because what I normally do when I do my TV show, is I usually stop the guest and say, that's a great point. Let's say it again. Because I think we need to say things in threes sometimes for people to remember, but I think it's such an important point when you're working from home, especially, to really identify when you want to work and when you don't want to work. I'm a morning person, so I shoot out of bed and I'm like, but call me at 8 o'clock at night and I'm like, okay, really? I'm getting ready for bed. So I think that's an excellent point. As somebody, we both work from home. You and I, we have a lot of similarities.
Right.
We both have worked from home. This is not new for us.
Right. I mean, I actually used to be one of those people that went out to work every day. And interesting. So where my divorce played a part. So I worked retail most of my life. When things started becoming apparent that they were going south in the marriage, I went back to work, but I had been a stay-at-home mom for quite a while and really, relied on, my husband's income and, just that it was a blessing and I was able to stay home with my kids. Stay home, meaning I volunteered for everything under the sun at school, but
nobody ever really stays home and takes care of their kids.
I mean, I think some people can actually do that, but
you know what? I have all the respect in the world for anybody that can stay home and take care of their kids, because for me, each time I was like, bye, like within 6 months, I had to get back to work. I just have so much energy. I needed to work in the office, and I never thought I'd be able to do this work.
Right. So, so like I was saying, like just the whole point of having, going out to work and working a job that there's really no path to actually kind of get ahead in retail. There's only so much money you're going to make. I don't care what your position is. Unless you're with the biggest company, and I have kids to take care of. So, I'm thinking I want to be as productive as I can, obviously just, that's kind of person I am, that I enjoy that feeling, productive, but making money to bring, into my household for my kids and I. But that was kind of a big driver, and there were a lot of things that happened along the way that gave me the boost of confidence I needed, because, remember at this point, just divorced, I'm still not feeling that. It took some time to feel that. And I will say this, sometimes we listen to the outside noise and it's a bad thing. Other times it can be a good thing. I drew upon some of the really kind things that people said to me along the way, and I had to sit down for a minute literally and say, why would they actually say this? They can't be lying. Like, all these people can't be lying and saying the same thing. And I had to kind of absorb that and allow myself to absorb that. And then I realized, you know what, that actually is true about me. That's kind of cool.
You know what, that's another great point, so I would just add to that a little bit. It's a great point to draw from the good. I always say, but consider the source,
right.
So sometimes people do say things to you, and sometimes it is genuinely from love and all that good stuff. And then other times, sometimes you just have to say, consider the source. You know, it's like,
Right.
I used to live and breathe according to what everybody else would say to me, you know, oh, you should do this, you should, and I'd be like, you know, and then finally I was like, woo! Now I'm at the place in my life, maybe it's because I'm 53 and I've been through so much and I've learned to trust myself, that I'm very comfortable with saying, well, gee, like, so when someone gives me any advice or they say anything that I'm like, that's nice. Like in my head, I'm like, thank you very much. And then I do exactly
Right.
that. I think that's an excellent tip, is to like listen to what people say, do a little analysis, and is there truth to it? And
Right.
and if you agree with it, great. If it's the bad stuff and you don't agree with it, get rid of it.
Right. Always have the filter on. We must have our filter
Really?
on.
Really? I didn't know what the word filter meant for
Well,
years.
right. You're talking about the output filter. I'm talking about the input filter. The information that comes in, make sure
Right,
the filter's
exactly.
on.
So I think one of the coolest things that I heard about you is that you helped our good friend, our mutual good friend. She's my publicist, and now I love her. You know, Cindy. She is amazing, and she was sharing a story with me. And I hope that you're not going. I hope she's not going to care that I shared this story. But she and I talk a lot about being divorced. You know, I think that I just think that when you get the courage, because that's what it takes a lot of courage to kind of get up there, get divorced, change your life. Right. And then you're like, oh, I am super woman, right? And you do it, you get through it, you get through it, but it's so much that you have to do. And then you said to Cindy, I'm paraphrasing or whatever, but I think that this is, Cindy wasn't sure what she was going to do professionally for a while. And then you basically said, Cindy, like, get out there and do this. You can do this, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's really incredible that you are such a strong force, that you have helped motivate other people in your life to get out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because she and I actually have a kind of a similarity in that way, where typically we can talk to someone and know what they need. Cindy from one perspective, you know, and then me from another perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is something I've learned along the way, because I wasn't the healthiest version of me in that marriage, you know, and obviously because things were going on.
Mm-hmm.
But even just for myself, like, had I not met that particular person, I still was not the healthiest version of me.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know, it takes living life and, you know, and reaching a certain level of maturity, if you will, you know, to get to that space. But
you have to be willing to get to that space. You have to be willing and wanting to get to that space. So
right.
Forgetting.
But I would say that my whole thing right now is, I do want to help people. I feel like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that have something that maybe they feel passionate about, and, you know, they're afraid to share it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just feeling like not so confident about it, or they just don't understand the mechanics of, like, how do I execute this? So yeah, it's my thrill to be someone's cheerleader for a minute, you know? And where Cindy was concerned, it's funny. I think one of the things I said to Cindy at that time, like looking back, was, you don't realize how people perceive you. You know, when you walk into a room, you have a very powerful presence. I think all 4'10" of her, maybe. I could be wrong. Please don't get upset with me, my friend, if I'm wrong. But
he does have such a
persona is like 2 feet bigger, at least, if not more. And that's something that when we're in that space of, you know, kind of trying to reconnect with ourselves, that we don't always see ourselves, you know, again, going back to that, like seeing yourself accurately.
I think it's so important to see yourself accurately, but I also think it's really important to have strong women support strong women, because we need it even more. What does that say? Mama needs some coffee.
And look how big this thing is.
Oh my God, I love it. Here, my cup says grateful.
Oh, I love that. It's adorable.
This is how I start my day every morning.
Yeah,
I had a Tigger cup. And it broke. My son bought me the most beautiful Tigger cup, and all I've ever wanted is another Tigger cup. Maybe I'll get it for myself. I'll go online and get it from Disney. But anyway, I think it's incredible. And so you started your own company, right? So you went from, let's just regroup here. You went from being married, you got divorced. You didn't even think that you'd be able to support your family, let alone now you have this incredibly thriving business, Zinman Interactive.
Right.
I got it right. It's and it's funny because every time every time I talk to Cindy, I'm like, well, I don't know how to do this, or I need to learn how to do that. She's like, call Beth. Beth will know. And every time I've called you, you've been amazing, and I appreciate all that you've done to support me on my journey as I'm trying to even do something like this. This is like, who would have thought I'd be doing a Zoom call?
Zoom, Zoom.
Zoom, Zoom in my dining room. So do you have any advice that you could give to actually, there's a lot of small businesses right now that I see are really changing the direction of Johnson's Farms, for example. I don't know if you've been following, Johnson's Farms is local in Mount Laurel, and you can go and do
right. They're amazing. Love them.
They're amazing. And guess what they're doing? I don't even know if you know this. They're doing online shopping.
Oh, yay.
They're doing
I'm excited.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm excited about that personally for me, but I'm excited because that is one mantra I've been saying over and over since we've all been forced to, do the social distancing. Is like, please, it doesn't have to be with me. There are so many tools out there where people can do it themselves even. Just put your business online, meet the people where they are. I mean, which is actually,
I love
that advice is no different than advice I would give any other time, but
right.
It is so important right now because if you don't do that electronically or make it easy in some way for people to engage with your business, you obviously won't be doing business right now because you can't be open if you are most, industries. Like, there very few are open right now.
Right.
I think like the Home Depots and Lowe's and all they're allowed open, like hardware stores, so great, but chances are you're probably not a hardware store.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
But that's awesome that they're doing that.
Yes. So you can go in on. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm picking up my order tomorrow. So you go online and you can order. They have meals. You can order all.
Oh, I'm doing that as soon as we're done.
Oh yeah, and I'm so happy. And then I saw, there's a lot of businesses that are going to be really impacted by this, stay in. And I've just seen a lot of people change their business models. And, even so where I get my hair done, I got to give a big shout out to Spade in Marlton. I've seen them. I have seen some of the stylists go on and talk about how to do a good blowout,
right,
to color your hair, which hence I am not coloring my hair because I don't think there's a bright red out there in Milwaukee. But is there I love put your business online. What would you say to the entrepreneur or solopreneur? Because there's a lot of solopreneurs.
Right.
Entrepreneur, what would you say to them? They're sitting there and they're like biting their nails behind the scene and they're saying, I don't know if I can do this, right?
Right. It's okay, so I will say I get it. It can feel overwhelming. There's like I said, there are a lot of tools that are either very inexpensive or for free. Social media being one tool that legitimately is free. Of course you can run ads and put a little bit of money into it. But what I would say is definitely get on social media, any platforms, that seem relevant. And right now that we're forced to be home, if you have kids and they're home, ask them what's up. If you don't know what TikTok is, you need to talk to your kids.
Yeah, but see, I want to make a TikTok video. My son's like, Mom, you're too old to be on TikTok. But I know what it is. I can at least.
You're really not. He's just saying that because you're mom. But
I'm like,
but we'll talk about that another time.
All right, I'm like begging him to make a TikTok. But I once heard this. I don't know who said it. I wish I could credit the person, but I do a lot of listening on YouTube, and I'll never forget. Maybe it was Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker who I love. And he said, if you don't know how to do something, shame on you, go and Google it. Like literally,
right.
Go and Google it. And there's experts like you. Are you offering any chat?
So I put out on my personal social media pages, and I put it on an email to my customers, to let me know if either if there was any new project they wanted to engage in. Or B, if I could just, help them on the fly freebie, like update some things given the current situation with the pandemic. One of the really useful overlooked tools. So, social media is very important. If you're selling anything, if it's at all by remotely visual or cute, please have Instagram. I'm going to say this, some people may disagree, but I don't think Pinterest is nearly as important, even on the wedding front. Yes, brides look and they save things, and that's all important, but irregardless, Facebook and Instagram are the same company. If you have an Instagram, I would implore you, because a lot of people skip this now, to have a Facebook for two reasons. One is security. If you ever have an issue and you're locked out of Instagram, Facebook and Instagram are connected. If you're still logged into your Facebook, you're in good shape. You'll get help. Okay. Also, people use Facebook today. I mean, grandmom and grandpop are on there. They use it like Google. So I would say also to make sure that your business is there with a legitimate business page. One of the other things I wanted to say too is Google. You can claim your listing for your business in Google. If you have a brick and mortar business, you can literally Google it. If it comes up on Google Maps, you can claim it. And from there, it'll take you into something called Google My Business, where you can create posts that anyone looking for your business online will find. So just like on your Facebook page, you can, add pictures and information. You can update your hours. You can literally list and upload images of everything you sell or do. So that is actually like a widely underused tool that is super comprehensive and amazing for the typical
and it's just Google. Owner. You just go to Google and claim your business.
Google and look for your business. If you are a brick and mortar, if you don't have an actual storefront, then that's another story. But in terms of offering things, I'm happy to consult with anybody for free to help them brainstorm how they can leverage, this current environment and, not succumb to it and go away, but, rather stick around.
I've been hearing a lot of things. I'm listening to, I do my social media, I check, I have to stay in touch. I do social media for my company full time, so I have to stay in touch and see what's out there. So I try to do a little bit of social media, and when I start to feel a little anxiety, I go off, right? And I do listen to the news because it's not all Pollyanna and happiness, but I need to know what's going on, but I also need to keep my mindset, right? So, now where was I going? I just completely lost my thought. That's like not the first time that happened, but what I was going to say is that, what were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Well, social media, and then Google, like utilizing Google.
Yeah, that's really scary. That whole thought just went right out of my mind. I think it must be close to 3 o'clock.
Don't feel bad, because obviously, I've gone through that myself.
Oh, you are? Good. Now, I was going to say, I think it's important that we, you've been through a lot of adversity. You've been through your divorce, and you came out, and you rose up to the occasion. You were rising up. That's what I was going to say. I'm seeing it on social media. I'm hearing the song "Rise Up." We're going to rise up. We're going to change it. We're in this big. It's a transitional. I call it, a global reset.
Oh yeah.
For personally, professionally, emotionally, spiritually. We weren't prepared for it, right? But now we're settled in. Right. And so the business advice that you have given us really is amazing, right? But then also you're saying, which I think is the universal message, is that we're here together. Right. I interviewed somebody yesterday. The sum of us is, all of us. And,
yes.
Right. And she's amazing. And I think it's just great that you jumped on with me. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'm way over my time limit, but I think it's important to remember that we're all in this together. Adversity is your greatest teacher, your greatest friend. I remember when I was down and out 10 years ago, and somebody looked at me and said, adversity is your greatest teacher, and you will learn and grow from this. And I think we can both agree, you and I, we've been on the journey of divorce, starting our own business. I started my own company 10 years ago. I still have a speaking business. And look at us today. We're here to talk about it, to share our love with people, let them know that, this is the face. These are the faces of women who have bounced back from the divorce, had successful companies, and we are here to support them. And I think that's the greatest way that we could probably end our Zoom call, and just say that, how can people reach you, Beth? I'm sorry, if they want to reach out. I'll put this on Facebook, but how else could they give a website?
Yes. So my website is zinmaninteractive.com. Zinman interactive.
And let me tell you, she's pretty awesome. She's done a few things for me, yeah, and she's we got big plans for my website one of these days. But
Yeah, right.
I am not your priority right now. I have a lot more things to do. But Beth, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. You're just another beautiful soul that's trying to help all the beautiful people out there. And you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.